Good stuff. Excellent. Thank you, Neo. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Great to see so many people on the call. Hopefully, some new faces too. Obviously, it's great news that sort of our marketing awareness has been driving lots more eyes on our project, which we've been very happy about. It's a huge team effort. So thank you to the internal team for all their hard work, but also thank you to the wider team, you guys, and the community as well, for sticking with us, believing in us, and helping to spread the word. It's great. It's great to see all of this activity this year. We're only on. It's a long journey that we're on. But obviously, it's nice to be sort of having a lot of activity here. My apologies. Let me just turn that off. I don't know if you can hear me. So basically, what I wanted to do is also basically talk about my trip to Denver. So off the back of that, I want to give you a quick update. So obviously, a lot of excitement in general about the market picking up ahead of the halving and everything like that, but also lots of interest in Minima as we've sort of been proactively pushing into the deep in space. It's been very well received by investors and other projects who are already in the deep in space. I think that it was our narrative about being sort of the only layer one that where a minimum where effectively we can run in full on devices, device agnostic across both mobile phones, IoT devices, in cars, and eventually on chip as well. And that was a very powerful message to give out to projects and investors about every device becoming, a server on the edge, being able to generate tokens on the device, and also do attestation and also access control as well, and also private peer-to-peer messaging. And so all of those things have been very well received. And I think that it's interesting now. Deepin is definitely growing, and there were some very good side events that I went to. The Fluence Deepin Day. I was on a panel there. I think the recording of that is will be sort of published very soon. And then also IoTex's real world event as well was very good. Lots of cool projects there. I met with like Filecoin, Streamer, Syntropy, Ator, some very interesting projects that all could help work very nicely with Minima's sort of layer one to deliver streaming capabilities and also file sharing as well. So it was a very positive energy that we had. And again, as the team will then now sort of go into a bit more detail on in terms of the activities we've been doing. But it really felt like Minima's now started to sort of have a real seat at the table within the market and within these projects within Deepin, but not just sort of traditional Deepin, but also sort of enterprise Deepin as well, with our sort of EV charging solutions as well. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it was a very positive event. We'll be looking to increase our presence at up and coming events, and which we'll be announcing soon as well. So really, sort of keeping the sort of activity up, and also having a decent presence in future events as well. So yeah, all in all, very good. Happy to be back now and to crack on with everything. It was a great period in Denver. So yeah, I'll hand over back to you now, Neo.
Thank you, Hugo. Thank you. So for those of you who don't know Hugo, he's our CEO. He went to ETH Denver last week. Now I'm just going to go over what we're going to be talking about quickly. So unfortunately, we were supposed to start the call off with the community member of the month, which this month is going to be Chingiz. But unfortunately, he cannot attend this call. So we wanted to have him talk, and he was going to talk in Russian, have a translator, and then demo his app. Unfortunately, he won't be able to do that. So the first thing we'll be doing is Jazmin is going to be showing us Chingiz's MiniDapp. Then we will have a marketing update from Luke. We will also be talking about the Whitecrypt partnership that was mentioned 2 weeks ago, and Adam will be telling us about 2 new partners, or at least 1 new partner and 1 initiative, I believe. And then Eurobot is going to go over the market update, so the BTSE listing. And to top it all off, we'll have Jazmin again for the tech or product update, and then SpartacusRex, who will most likely have a rant about Ethereum. So thank you for joining us, and Jazmin, whenever you want. I know you have to share your screen, it's a whole thing, but...
Yeah, great. Thanks, Neo. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Greens, green 2.
Okay.
You can see my screen?
I can.
Okay. Yeah, so Chingiz is one of our moderators, and he's created a MiniDapp called MiniInfo. And to do this, he's set up an archive node on a server, and he's set up with a MySQL database, and he queries the chain there to present the user with useful information. And what I love about this app is that, well, Chingiz isn't a developer, but he knows enough HTML, CSS, JavaScript to be able to put a MiniDapp together. And that is the whole kind of the whole reason really for MiniDapps is that they should be accessible for anybody and not just hardcore developers. So I can query my balance on this node. So it tells me what my balance is, how much is locked up, how much is spendable, and my last 5 transactions. I can have a look at the block that I'm on, and this compares it to his MiniInfo node. I can have a look at peers. So as most of you know, we don't have servers that let you join the network. So whenever a new user wants to join the Minima network, they need a set of peers. So this peers list here you can copy and give to a new user, or if you are a new user yourself, you can simply open this app and connect to the network from here directly. And it also tells me the latest price of Minima and what my balance is, the volume in the last 24 hours. And what's very interesting is the maximize statistics. So this shows the total value locked in maximize, the number of contracts, and the total value locked for each period. So 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 and 12 months. So I just thought that was really, really nice use case. And in addition, we've also got archive files. So whenever a user needs to resync, then they can download the latest archive file from here. And yeah, Sati can't be with us today, but wanted to show you what he's done. And hope this encourages more of you guys to have a go at building a MiniDapp. Oh, you're on mute, Neo.
Sorry, there's 2 mutes. There's 2 different mutes. It's my bad. Thank you, Jazmin. And I said, I think I remember seeing that MiniDapp in its earlier stages. I think like a few months ago. So it's come a long way.
Yeah.
Okay, so now over to Luke.
Cheers, Neo. Hi, everyone. So since our last call, we launched our Deepin narrative. We updated our socials and website in line with that. We've also started a Deepin Megathread series on Twitter, highlighting other Deepins. Now, you might be thinking, wait, this is weird. Why are you promoting other projects? And that's a fair question. But the 2 biggest reasons are this. Firstly, the projects that we highlight are ones that we feel we could work with in the future, and that this is a friendly way to introduce ourselves to those teams. And secondly, the projects themselves are active on the threads that we put out, so that exposes us to their communities, bringing new interest into what we're doing. Along with our marketing partner, Athena Labs, we are also working hard to increase our exposure in the press and at events with speaking opportunities around the globe. Most recently, as already mentioned, this saw Hugo attending ETH Denver to, amongst other things, speak on the Fluence Labs Deepin Day Challenges of Deepin Real Dawn or False Hope panel. This was a huge success. We had great feedback, mainly along the lines of him stealing the show, which is always great to hear. Many also appreciated Hugo's sense of style. You were looking pretty fresh there, Chief. Perhaps in a world of denim zipped hoodies, you are emerging as a new fashion icon. If any of you want to watch the panel, look out for a link which I'll be posting onto our channels after this call. And the team are looking forward to attending many more events like this in the coming months to fly the banner for Minima. All of this work that we've been doing is starting to show results. We've seen interest grow amongst key opinion leaders on Twitter and a huge increase in activity across all of our channels. I want to draw attention to Twitter and our website in particular. Over on Twitter, we have had nearly 250,000 impressions in the last 28 days alone, and that's a 264% increase. Meanwhile, our website has seen a huge 440% increase in traffic, with often hundreds of people on the site concurrently. We are absolutely thrilled with the increase in interest we're seeing. So putting my community hat on for a second, with all the newfound attention we are getting, we are starting to see already a lot of new faces with lots of basic questions that you, our long-term community members, already know the answers to. I've personally already seen how welcoming you are being to them, and that is not always the way it goes in crypto communities, so I thank you for that. We know that our community is amongst our biggest strengths, and I ask you to continue to have patience with our new minimalists and welcome them with open arms as they navigate the project. With your help, they will soon feel right at home, and they will go out and they'll tell all their friends about what an incredible, welcoming project Minima is. So thank you again. That's everything for me today. Cheers, everyone. Thanks, Neo.
Thank you. I totally agree with you on that, Luke. And I'm actually surprised that our community has been so good so far. So let's keep it going. Next on the list is Adam. So whenever you want.
Yep, there we go. Hi, Neo. Hi, hello, everybody. So I'm happy to talk to you about partnership news and other things that we've been doing with our enterprise development. So as Luke and Hugo have mentioned, the Deepin space has been particularly attractive for collaboration. And what's really nice is that this new narrative has actually spawned a lot of collaboration rather than competition between the projects. So we feel extremely well positioned to start to reach out to other companies in the Deepin space where our technology can complement others. And so one of the first announcements that we made in this space was the collaboration with Ycrypt. And Ycrypt is a shining example of Deepin, where both combining the two aspects of Deepin. One is a decentralized network, and the other is rewarding the users and the suppliers of a service by tokens. So Ycrypt has a global reach, but they're mainly focusing on in Africa, where they are rewarding users to share their Wi-Fi hotspots. And this is extremely valuable for many people, where a single Wi-Fi router owner can hotspot to a large number of people in the village or a local community. So this is, as I said, a great example of Deepin, and Minima is very happy to collaborate with them, and we are in the process of embedding Minima nodes on the Ycrypt routers, which will then make every router an active node. And so we are just in the process of rolling out the hardware where we can actually get our Minima community to take part in the hotspotting of Wi-Fi. So really happy that this has started, and we'll obviously keep you updated with news as it happens. So that's our sort of first foray into a collaborative partnership. we have, of course, still got ongoing projects with our automotive partners that we've mentioned in the past from the Mobility X Lab, so the Swedish auto partners. And we will be able to, hopefully in the next team call, be able to highlight some of the use cases that we've actually slowly bringing into production. But for now, as well as these projects that are underway, it's also worth mentioning that as well as direct paid projects with commercial partners, another way that we have got traction is through accelerator programs. And this month we've just been accepted in an accelerator program by a global industrial provider of energy and IoT. And they produce industrial hardware and software around energy supply, and there's a strong focus on EV charging, and they also handle robotics and automation. And this accelerator program accepts startups and small SMEs, small enterprises, with a focus on distributed computing and transfer of data to support energy, providing energy. And this accelerator program is audited by an independent third party. So to be accepted on the program in itself is good credit to Minima, but equally what we'll get out of this is not only the ability to interact with the other startups that are in the program, but also this comes with a potential for paid projects and funding and even investment through this large company. So we are very happy to be involved in this, and we see a lot of potential for edge case security of data. So that again was something that we were able to bring into the announcements in the coming weeks. In another collaboration, we're also talking to a European network of collaborators who are focused on decentralized data storage and information sharing. And importantly, they are very focused on standards and making sure that there's a narrative and an understanding of the regulations, so that the technology that's developed has a very good and well-informed project plan as they go forward into demonstrating some of this technology. So that's also very important for us. And finally, we are now starting an outreach for academic and research institutes, where we're encouraging developers to help and get involved with building on Minima. And I think I'll let Jazz explain the relationships we're having with a couple of the institutes and that. So that's it from me.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, well, we'll add that to the topic that Jazz has to cover after.
Yeah.
So for now, Barry, market update.
Hi guys, I'm Barry. I'm a commercial director here at Minima. I hope you're as excited as I am to be here at the call today. So I'm going to talk about the markets. We're not going to talk about price in any way, but what's changed over the last couple of weeks is not insignificant. The thing that's important with any market is liquidity. Liquidity is the ability to quickly change one asset into cash. So liquidity has increased tenfold, 15-fold in the last couple of weeks as new active market participants have come to the pair, been discovered through the push in the marketing side. So our Uniswap liquidity pool has ballooned to now, I think we're up to about $1.5 million of liquidity, which is excellent. Volumes have also picked up. We took on a new market maker at the beginning of the year who's been making markets on Bitfinex, MEXC, and our new exchange BTSE. We're happy to add them to the list, and we're speaking to many other exchanges with the hope of getting Wrap Minima listed. This is partly because of the increased volumes and our new exposure. They're kind of reaching out to us, so there should be more venues to trade in the future. more venues mean the more access to active traders, the more volume begets volume. The more volume we trade, the more it attracts new users, and the more volume we have. So, and the market will find its equilibrium. There's going to be volatile days, there's going to be exciting days, there's going to be very quiet days, but as I say, the market will find its equilibrium, and we're in the price discovery phase of the market cycle right now. So let's enjoy it and feel happy that we've planted our flag, we're firmly on the map. The buzz is out there, people are talking about Minima. They come because they see a green candle or a move, and then they stay for the tech because that is the bottom line. The underlying product of our lovely token is Minima, the blockchain, and there's nothing like that. Thank you.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Barry. Okay. I like how we're getting on quickly. It means Paddy's going to have, or SpartacusRex is going to have a lot to talk about. So Jazz, go ahead whenever you want to.
Cool, thanks, Neo. Yeah, so I'll just give you guys a bit of a product update. There's never a dull day in development, so I'll take you through some of the highlights. Firstly, we have a new intern, Gucci Kame, who I think is in the audience somewhere. He's joined us from the Stockholm Technical Institute, and he's a full-stack developer and a semi-professional football player, may I add. And he's joined us for a couple of months. He's already started playing around with creating MiniDapps, and he's working on a new developer website for us. So shout out to Gucci, and we're really pleased to have him on board. Secondly, we have our bounty board up and running in the Discord channels. The bounty board is a place where the team and any of you guys can post technical tasks that focus on the development of Minima, and whoever completes them gets given the reward that the bounty owner sets. And there is one up for grabs at the moment, which is creating version 2 of Block Explorer MiniDapp. So if you think you've got what it takes, please check it out and give it a go. The rewards are quite generous as well. Next up, we have an update on Minifarm. So we'll shortly be updating the interface for Minifarm. And this is where anyone who is providing liquidity to the Uniswap pool can stake their liquidity provider token for additional rewards. And that is at minifarm.minima.global. Another thing we're working on is Shoutout. As many of you know, we've covered Shoutout before in, I think, last month's call. It's a social MiniDapp for threaded discussions with different categories. And in contrast to Max Solo or Chatter, which runs over the Maxima information transfer layer, Shoutout posts are sent over the blockchain. And this means that all Minima users will receive Shoutout posts, which is quite exciting. It means that we'll have discussions from anyone who's running Minima. And we've given this to the testers, received a lot of feedback, and we are now improving the UX and the UI. And it's having a makeover. And once that's complete, it will be ready to release. And I'm now going to hand over to Paddy, who's going to talk a bit more about what he's been working on.
Okay, thanks very much. Hi, team. Hello, everyone out there. Thanks for coming and joining us. Interesting, exciting times that we've got at the moment. So, yeah, I'm working on the bridge. I'm working on the ETH bridge. And I think I'm just going to have a little chat about Ethereum, because I think there's a confusion out there about, as we were mentioning earlier, why would you mention...
It's a cross-chain swap. Thank you.
Fine. Okay. It's a bridge. It's a cross-chain swap. Whatever. When we come up with a better name, we can call it that. And what I'm going to talk about is other chains and other products and other things out there. Like we said, why are we helping other deep-in projects? And the truth is, we are all working on this together. Yeah, it's like as the tide rises, all the boats rise, and we are all trying to fight the good fight. To see if we can make this world a better place. And so currently what I'm working on is how to get on and off the chain. That's the bottom line. Yeah. If you've got a blockchain, how do I get on it? How do I get off it? How do I, sell some coins? And importantly, and the bit that is important to me, is I like these things to be decentralized. Yeah. I don't want to use a centralized exchange. I want to use a decentralized exchange. So I've written a whole hash time lock contract system. And basically this is a way of swapping coins from one chain across to another chain in a trustless, decentralized, serverless, atomic way. And what this means is that there are no servers because all the messaging is done over Minima. It's trustless because there's no escrow service. You trade directly with the person you're trading with. It's atomic because it means that either both of you get what you want or neither of you get what you want. So in lots of ways, this is sort of this is the raison d'etre. This is the thing that we've all been looking for. But as always, decentralization comes at a price. And so in this regard, Bridge is slow, as in it takes a few minutes. It takes currently I'm looking at about 3 or 4 minutes for a trade. And you have to pay, because you have to pay for the transactions. The minimum transactions are cheap, free, but the Ethereum transactions are expensive. We're doing it. I could have chosen a different chain. I could have chosen Solana or whatever, blah blah blah. But the truth is that Ethereum is the one with the most liquidity. That's got the most users. You've all got MetaMask accounts. You've all got Coinbase accounts. So it's like you've all got your ERC20s, the wrap minima token, etc., etc. So that's the one you really want to start with, and then we can add the other chains later on. Like we can add. I think Polygon will probably be our next one, and I'll mention why. So, with regards to blockchains, as I've said many times in lots of podcasts and in lots of tweets, I think we're all going to be storing our value in one chain. Yeah, there can only be one winner because you want to be in the most liquid, most secure. Why would you keep your money in the one that isn't the most liquid one? So as far as the winning chain goes, there's going to be one where you keep your wealth. But that doesn't mean that the other chains are useless. Yeah, I'm not here to say that Ethereum is rubbish because it clearly isn't. Lots of people use Ethereum. There's lots of applications that you run on Ethereum, but as we all know, they've paid a high price for that. And that price that they have paid for that is that they're not really decentralized because none of us run ETH nodes. I've got an ETH node running, and frankly, I don't think anybody else is going to be able to sort this out. So this is the thing. And frankly, what I think should be happening and what I would like to see happening in future is when you jump to another chain, when you want to do stuff, you want your NFTs or, you want to use Uniswap, lovely. There's a lot of liquidity there. There's a lot of USDT. And when you jump to these chains, you have to convert your minima into the chain's token. Then you do whatever you want, and then you jump back to minima. Yeah. And that's a problem, because it means that you have to take into account whether something has gone up or down. And frankly, if you jumped over to Ethereum 2 weeks ago and then you wanted to jump back, Ethereum's had a good run. Yeah, what's it up? It's about 80%. It's gone up, whatever. It's doing well. It hasn't gone up, as much as Minima has gone up. So you've lost loads of money just on the transfer. So actually what you want to be doing, I think, is that these other chains should be pegged 1-to-1. And what should happen is that you take your Minima and then you jump over to an Ethereum, an EVM chain. Let's call it that, just an EVM chain. There's loads of them out there. But you have the same token. You just have a wrapped version of your token on that chain. Then you can do whatever you want. And then when you jump back, it's a 1-to-1. And this doesn't mean that the miners don't make any money on those chains. Right? They're businesses, they're applications. Yeah, they're like, I see Ethereum as a business. I see Ethereum as the 40, 50 people who actually have control over the entire chain. And and there is a trust assumption with that. And it's not where I'm going to be storing my wealth. And I don't consider it the one that is going to survive a true state level attack. I don't think there's any chance that it could survive that. But to do what you want to do and to do your NFTs, then that's okay. If you want to risk it, you go for it. You might want to do it on Solana. You might want to do it on Polygon. And what should happen is that the amount that the miners get paid, the value of the coin on these chains, if you add up all the fees that they make in a year, and then you take all the money that they have spent running their system. So let's say Ethereum spends up, 100 million a year on the computers, on the hardware, on the internet connections. This is what it costs to run the Ethereum network. Then they should be making that a year in fees plus 20%, plus 30%. And actually, that's a really nice way of thinking about how much these coins should be worth. So what do I think Ethereum should be worth? I don't think it should be worth what it's worth at the moment. What I think Ethereum should be worth is you take the number of transactions that have occurred in a year, and then you just divide 100 million by that, and that is what you should be paying in fees. And actually, when you look at it like that, Ethereum would work much, much better, because if Ethereum was actually worth $100, which is a far better, in my opinion, that is what it should be worth. The miners would still make loads of money. They could get paid what they want, but it's not where I store it's not a speculative asset. It's not something I put money into because I think it's going to go up in loads, because I think it's going to make money. It's going to be the one that everybody keeps in the future. It should be, I'm paying the miners to do their job. This is you're providing me with a service. You're providing me with something that I want to use. That's fantastic, and I'm going to pay you for that. But there's this misunderstanding, I think, in the community where they think that lots of coins are going to be worth lots of money, and I just don't think that is the way this is going to go. Yeah. So that is why I think using Ethereum is fine. We need it. We want to have access to the USDT pools on Uniswap, and so that's why we're writing this bridge to get onto it. But I think the price of Ethereum is far too high, and I think it should be a lot lower, because it should just pay the miners plus a small percentage on what they're actually putting into it. So, and this goes for all the chains out there. They've all got their own little thing. I'm sure there's going to be specific chains for doing NFTs, and they're going to be specific chains for doing DEXs, and there's going to be specific chains for doing certain things, and you'll go off and do them, and you'll go off and use these chains as and when you need to, and then you'll come back to your home where you store your wealth, etc., etc. In this case, it's Minima. So, if I can get technical for a second, that's why using other chains is fine. Go for it, have fun. But having used Ethereum now, and having actually had to do quite a lot of code on it, quite complex code, which, I wasn't an expert before, but I feel that I'm not bad now, frankly. These are some of the things that I noticed from a technical point of view when using it. So when you want to send an Ethereum transaction, many of you may not know this, but some of you may, some of the more techie ones may, there's something called a nonce. Yeah, so you send a transaction, and you have to, every transaction that you send on Ethereum is ordered. So the first transaction I said is 1, and then I send another transaction, and I've got to put 2 in the transaction, and then I can send it. And then my next transaction is obviously 3. And the thing is that those transactions can only be processed in that order. And so what happens is, as I've been, my new bridge, if any of you have played with MiniSwap, you will remember, as I said, it's a proof of concept application, and you had to copy and paste stuff and do everything. My one does everything in the background. It just takes care of everything, so you can have 10 swaps going on at the same time. Now, if you send 10 transactions on Ethereum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and transaction 3 stalls, the gas isn't high enough, something happens, it's not going to go through, it's waiting there in the mempool, none of the other transactions can be processed. This is a bit odd, frankly. And until that transaction is either cleared or removed, nothing else can happen. And so it's a very sort of sequential system. I've got to do things first in, first out. Everything's got to happen in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not parallel. This is the antithesis of how the UTXO model that Minima runs and other UTXO chains work, where if I send 10 transactions, 8 of them can, any of them can go through, and if one of them stalls, it stalls. It's its own little unit. It's its own thing. It's not connected to the others. This is a very parallel system. So firstly, when you're sending transactions on Ethereum aren't parallel. They've got to be ordered. They've got to be done in sequence. And if something happens to one of the transactions in the order, then it screws up all the other ones in the thing. I'm not sure I like that, frankly. I'm sure that when somebody comes up with a better version, we'll switch to that. The thing about being useful is that you're only useful until something more useful comes along, and then you're going to start using that. That's the difference between useful and valuable. And then once the transaction gets into the mempool and into Ethereum, and they're going to have to process it again, what happens? You have to process all of the transactions in a block, one after the other. What that means is that I've got my mempool, I've got 100 transactions that I'm going to put in this block, and then my computer's sitting there. Even if I've got 50 computers sitting there grinding, I've got big computers, I can't start processing all of the transactions at the same time. I have to process the first one, see what happens in that one, because it might affect the global state. It might do something in the transaction that affects the next transaction. If two transactions are trying to access Uniswap and they're both trying to do a market buy, clearly what happens in the first one affects the second one. So again, I've got to process those transactions one after the other. And this is, again, the antithesis of how Minima, how Minima operates, which is when I receive a block on Minima, all of the transactions are independent. And if I've got 8 cores on my Samsung phone, which you do, then I can send 8 transactions off to each core, and each one of them can be processed independently of any of the others. Highly parallel. And actually, this is a really big deal. And I think this is one of the reasons that Ethereum has such problems with its scalability, because it's really hard to scale sequential systems. Yeah, parallel processing is a very well understood computer science thing. And what it means is that, hey, if I've got 2 computers, I can give them both a bit of work and they can do that at the same time and give me the answers. And then I can get on with it and I can give them another 2. That's really good, because it means that, hey, if I've got 8 computers, and scaling a chip or making a computer parallel is very easy. We've been doing this for 30 years. Yeah, that's why your Samsung's got 8 cores or 16 cores. Yeah. And so you can actually scale up the speed at which you're processing blocks already today without any funky stuff. You don't need to do anything cool. But on Ethereum, you can't do that. Yeah. On Ethereum, your chip has to be faster. I can't have more chips. Yeah. Because only one, because I've got to process this one, then I've got to wait for that to be processed, then I've got to process the next one. And that's something that it's like, I can see, parallel processing on the EVM, many of you may have seen this, is quite a hot topic. And I can understand why they want to add it, because it's totally cool. And, we have that on Minima, yeah, because that's what the UTXO system gives us, because each transaction is its own thing. And so that can be processed. So it's just really struck me that there is a really fundamental difference in the way that Minima processes incoming and processing transactions and the way that Ethereum does it. You get something for that. I'm not saying it's all bad. You can get this global state thing and blah, blah, blah. And that's probably the reason. That's the fundamental reason why you need to do them one after the other, because each transaction can access the same unit of data. Whereas in the UTXO system, it's just that little module of information that gets processed. So, it just strikes me that there will be at some point.
It's a big problem in Ethereum where you get the MEV, where you place an order in Uniswap to buy, and then the clever little robots who are close to the block builders put their buy before yours, and then they sell straight after yours, and they steal a bit of your money. This is miner extracted value. If you're processing in parallel, you can't do that. So it's a much more fair and just way of doing it. Sorry to interrupt.
I can interrupt too now that you have started.
Sure.
So it's also an interesting conversation that we're having with enterprise clients as well, because obviously as enterprise clients suddenly start to go, okay, blockchain's a really cool tech that could be really useful for our services, customers, and then look at blockchains where actually MEV exists and go, well, actually, you mean to say that my competitors could actually reorder my transactions for me if it's in a staking pool? So, this is something that I think enterprise clients are beginning to really understand now, really looking for a truly decentralized, inert value transfer layer that doesn't have these kind of sort of clever sort of extraction principles within it. So I think that's another massive strength that we're seeing.
Yeah,
we sort of talk to enterprise clients.
And just to say that Minima actually takes this one step further than any other UTXO chain. And so MEV, miner extracted value, is basically a miner reorganizes the transactions in a block so that something beneficial happens for them. So as Baz said, if I've got a buy and a sell, I can put those transactions here and I can stick mine in between, and then the buy, and he buys from me, and then he sells to me, and then I sell to the other guy, and I can make a profit. And so this means that you need to be able to order the transactions in a block. On Minima, that's not possible. Why is it not possible? You've got a block and you've got transactions, because on Minima, when I process a block, all of the transactions are processed simultaneously. And really, from a technical point of view, what that means is that none of the transactions in a block can spend an output that is created in the same block. And so all of the transactions can be sent off to the cores. All of the transactions, either they all return true and the block is valid, or one of them returns false and the entire block is invalid. And so we have no MEV on Minima, because of this process. And I don't think no other chain does this. So I've seen Justin, some chains try to do clever things with a random order by using a hash, but that's always gameable because I can always keep grinding away to come up with a hash that means that the order is beneficial to me. So the only way of getting around this issue is by actually saying we have no order of transactions in a block and all the transactions are processed at the same time. So again, that's a nice feature. These are all the things that Minima, it never struck me as so obvious as to why we had some really nice things going on here with the UTXO model. Like another thing I've noticed is that when you send ERC20s, now that I'm playing around with these ERC20 tokens, you send them to Ethereum, you don't see them. You've got to beforehand add the contract to your wallet to say, hey, I might be receiving this, so you better be ready for this. So no one can just send you something, and it just appears in your wallet because it's like, oh, look, I've got to have the ERC20 contract added to my account. And then I can see the thing. So it's like, that's another little annoyance. These are all the things I've sort of had to get around and sort of working with as I'm writing this bridge. And the last one that I'd like to mention, I suppose, is, when you write Solidity, when you write these Ethereum contracts, you have to compile them. So I write some code, if this, do this, if that, do the other. I write that in code, Solidity. And then I have to compile that, and it gives me this bytecode. It gives me this like machine code language. And then the machine code language is actually what the EVM computes with. And that means it's I've not found a way yet. I'd love someone to tell me. It's not possible to dynamically create a script and compile it in script and then run that, which is what I did when I wrote our original Vault, not the EV charging thing, but in Minima script, it's actually possible to write a script and to create an address and to send money to that address from the script itself. And that's basically because Minima scripting is an interpretive language rather than a compiled language. I give you the script and it just interprets the script. It doesn't compile it into anything lower. The script is the lowest unit of code that you can use. And again, I suppose some people might think that that's the simpler option. This is the KISS option, rather than saying, well, look, I'm going to convert it into this other machine code language, which my very cool EVM can process. It's like, well, actually, why don't you just run the script? And then in script, I can write scripts and then I can process those. And again, you can make these things simple or you can make these things complicated. And it's funny how when you go for the simple option, it's almost the benefits are big. They're not small things. These things matter in the long run. And, they always seem to go for the more complicated option on the Ethereum chain, I have noticed. And that's fine. There's some really smart guys doing this and they've got all the things that they want to do. But I'm going to say, keep it simple, stupid. That's the way to do these things. And you'll find that restriction is the mother of innovation, and once you know what you've got to work with, it's actually possible to do all the things that you want to do. You've just got to think about it. It's like a paradigm shift in the way you're working. So anyway, it's been a very interesting, couple of, month, 6 weeks, whatever, that I've been doing this EVM stuff. And I look forward to you all using the application. And as I said, what it'll mean is that you will be able to cross over from the Minima chain to Ethereum. It's a bit expensive on Ethereum, I've got to say. But hopefully, with whatever they're doing at the moment, with whatever the 17 techies have decided to do in their latest hard fork, that price may come down. But if it doesn't, we're just going to pick another chain and you can switch to that one. But that's important to be able to get on and off a chain. And there'll be a...
I'm going to cut you off now because I just know we need to get on to the questions. The community questions. But thank you for that. Very interesting, as always. If there's anything that anyone wants to pick up on as a result of that, then come into the community and we'll discuss it.
Mm-hmm. I was looking for the right time. Thank you, Patty. So we're going to try to skim through these stage questions quickly. The first one is something I can answer myself. It was just a question regarding our ambassador program, which was supposed to resurface around the start of the year. It's going to come back. I can't give you an exact date when, but it'll be better, and look forward to that. Next question was a question from month 3. Are there any plans or ideas for any kind of auditing process for future MiniDapps? Jazmin?
Yeah, I think this is something that we intend to incorporate into the new developer website. So if somebody wants to get their MiniDapp audited, they can submit it for a security review on there.
think that's a good point to mention that with MiniDapps, by default they're all in read mode. This means they can't perform high-level commands like send or vault and steal your private keys or send your money. So whenever you're installing a MiniDapp that is not Minima official, never put it into write mode. Always keep it in read mode. Dapps in read mode, as you know, when you perform a command, you have to then approve that command in the pending Dapp. So be careful with security. With the current market levels, etc., things are a bit more serious. Stakes are higher. Sorry.
Maybe we can get ChatGPT to look at it. It's getting pretty
Maybe.
good. I use it. But auditing code is pretty tricky, frankly. As somebody who once used to do a little bit of that with C++ and blah, 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 it's not easy to find a bug in a program because sometimes it's not bugs, it's algorithmic. It's sort of, if you need to really understand the program to be able to give an audit of whether it's going to cause some sort of, there's bugs which are bugs in the code, and then there's bugs that are bugs in the algorithm of the code. What it's actually doing is insecure because you might do this. And frankly, 99% of the bugs are the algorithmic ones. Yeah, fixing a misspelt variable is one thing, but looking through and seeing what the code is doing and actually trying to work out whether there's some attack that I can do on it is much harder. So who would do the auditing?
Even audited MiniDapp should only be in read mode is the bottom line here. That's the takeaway, guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we do have Simon on the team, our security expert, and I'm sure he would love to do just a community call fully on security one day. So I think that's something we'll get in the diary.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It is a good idea. I've got questions for you as well, Spartacus, but we're going to keep those to the end because I can't manage your when you talk. I just have to let you talk.
All right, fine, it's fine.
Right. So from Mingo, there's a question: how many coins in total are planned to reward the maximized stake, and any deadline for it? Barry?
I'll take this one. Yeah, I say Maximize has been a big success. I mean, I think that node actually is version like 32 or something. It's been running for 6 months without any issue, doing all those transactions. We've set aside a good amount of coins to pay the interest. As you can see, the total value locked is 60 plus million. And we envisage, at the current rates and the current level of uptake, we can run this for several years. So obviously keep your eye on it. There will be announcements if we are going to change the yield rates. We will give everyone a lot of notice, but they are subject to change. And obviously, if we do decrease the yields at some point, that will give us more runway and extend the project on further. So several years is the answer, and hopefully longer.
I'm going to just say quickly that it does provide an interesting dynamic maximize, because when we launch the bridge, it's decentralized, which means anybody can add liquidity to it, and people are going to want to go from native to wrapped, or they can go straight from native to USDT. But that's going to put a lot of pressure on wrapped. That's going to mean that a lot of people want to put their native and they want to get their wrapped. And so you have to think, well, look, is there any reason why people might want to get native? And actually Maximize, with his current 18% rewards for staking, is a really good incentive. And it actually might be the sort of incentive we need to get people to put their wrap minima on the bridge, to say, well, look, I don't want the wrap minima, I want the native, because then I can maximize it and I can make 18%. So there's going to be some interesting game theoretical.
We've had lots of people wanting to exchange their wrap minima for native for exactly that reason.
Cool.
They're prepared to wait for the native listing and have more wrap minima in the belief that things will be sunnier on the other side of the street.
Sweet.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Another one for Jazmin. How do you work with new potential developers? What rewards can they hope for? How many new developers do you plan to attract? Is there a need to attract new developers?
That's a lot of questions in one. Yeah, there's always a need for more developers. If you are new, then I'd suggest checking out the dev chat channel. Just make sure you give yourself the community developer role. And then I would take a look at the build section in the docs.minima.global. There are some tutorials there. And on YouTube, there are some videos by SpartacusRex. and there'll be more of those to come. And we are continuously working on improving our resources for developers. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll be having a new developer website up soon, which will bring all of the resources into one place. And that will also see the relaunch of our grants program and the bounty board as well. So that's where you can also get some rewards.
Thank you, Jazmin. Now, Spartacus, questions for you. So I have a simple one from Brad Sean. Will Max Solo be able to support peer-to-peer file transfers, voice calls, video calls, or more in the future? Thanks.
Absolutely, I would like it. I think the first thing that I'd like to see Max Solo do is group chat. Yeah, so Max Solo is currently one-on-one, which is nice. It's great. But again, Max Solo, when I originally wrote it, was just a proof of concept, and we really wanted to increase that. And what you really want is you want WhatsApp. Yeah, it needs to have 10 people in a room, and I need to all chat to them. So that would be my first. I really like that. As for file transfer, no problem at all. That's just chopping up a file into small messages and send. Because Maxima has a max file transfer size of 256K. So as long as the file is smaller than 256K, you can do it in one message. That's why people are always sharing images. You may have noticed we shrink them down and then we send them. But if you wanted to send a couple of 10 megabytes, then that would just require more messages. And of course, because Maxima is incentive compatible, you're working every time you send a message. So I'm very happy, to forward the messages across. Everyone's happy to forward those messages across the network. So files and group chat are definitely good ones that I think it could do. As for video and audio, you could do a like WhatsApp does, where it records the voice and then sends the MP3 of the voice, and you could open that and play that. If you wanted real-time streaming, then really the thing that is sort of important is the ping. And what I mean by that is that what is the round trip time for a message to go from me to you and then from you back to me? And we're still probably at about a second, maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds for that. That may be a little bit too much currently for real-time audio or video communication. So that's the thing I would say. It's not really about the amount of data, but more about the speed delay. Because there's a lot going on when you send the Maxima messages. They're encrypted. They bounce through the network. They get them. He replies. So yes, it's definitely technically possible, but there may be those sort of bottlenecks.
I mean, let's not talk about what Max Solo can't do, but let's remind everyone that it's probably the most secure chat app on the planet.
Yeah,
direct peer-to-peer hashed messages that no one knows you're sending or can intercept.
I don't know who's sending what. Yeah,
or translate them. So it's powerful already.
Yeah, very powerful.
Okay, next question, which is from CC Atman that we saw not long ago. Are large-scale decentralized storage solutions feasible for projects that require them and would like to build on Minima? If so, what would be the best technical approach and aspect to this with Minima?
So file storage done over blockchain does seem to be a bit of a hot topic. You've got Filecoin, you've got StoreJ, you've got other different ways of doing it. The problem with these file things is always the incentives. Yeah, it's always about incentives. Show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcomes. And it's like, what's the incentive for somebody to start storing loads of file, for offering file space on their machine, and then for you to be able to access it? Obviously, the incentive needs to be money. Yeah, I need to be paid, and then I'll give you the files. It's proving difficult, if you ask me, because I haven't seen one that works correctly. Yeah, there isn't one that everybody can use at the moment that is just like working and blah, blah, blah. Even Filecoin, not quite sure it's correct the way that they're doing it there. So yes, it's possible. It's not a protocol thing. It's definitely a MiniDapp that you would write on top of the application, and somehow leverage Minima payments with maybe Maxima communication. And you might want to. I suppose you could also set up servers, that would be speaking to people. Again, you'd also want to somehow set up Lightning payments. Yeah, this is the sort of thing that probably wouldn't work on layer 1 at scale. Right now, you could probably do it. But if you want to pay people, you want to pay them fractional amounts of a Minima per byte. If that's how you're going to do it, then you could easily do that on Lightning. Yeah, where you can pay any amount of money, basically. So, in a nice way that would incrementally increase as you receive more and more of the file. but there's quite a few pieces to that puzzle that are just not currently available in our tech stack, which I think you would need if you wanted this to work correctly at scale. So not a simple problem, but an interesting one. It's definitely not a question of just stuffing it on the blockchain, because that's not going to work. Yeah, you need some better system than that.
Okay, well, thank you. That's all the questions we received during the call. Let me just skim through the channel, see if there's anything else.
It's always nice to finish a meeting on an all-time high. Has anyone seen Bitcoin? It's getting very close, guys. $100.
Yeah, we are. It's not 69.4, I think, actually. I mean, it's exciting times as well. I got to say, we've sort of reached over into that point where everyone's sort of like, yay, are getting loads of messages from people who I haven't heard from for ages going, hi. It's like, hey, where have you been? Well, why are you asking me all these questions? So it's a good time to be, this is a nice time. This is a good crypto time. And, it's good for all of us. As I said, we're all in this together. All of the chains are in this together. We're trying to do something good here. And this is good stuff. Yeah, it's a good time.
Mm-hmm.
There is one
Absolutely.
question in the stage questions. I would like to from Molteni. I would like to understand, will Wrap Minima be present on the exchange in 5 years? I want to give Minima to my mother-in-law, or is it better to give her a future cash contract that expires in 10 years?
I mean, listen, Minima, genuine native Minima is the censorship-resistant coin that will not be going anywhere. Who knows what Ethereum will be doing in 5 years? Who knows what the legal landscape, etc., etc. Censorship resistance through decentralization is why we're here, and native Minima is the coin for that. So I think that's an easy question to answer.
I agree. You want to send them native Minima. I don't know if you trust your mum. I think you don't have to send her a future cash payment. Oh, you're saying you don't trust her not to touch it before the 10 years is up. But I would probably just send her the money and say, there you go. Give her the seed, get the seed phrase, tell her to write it down, and then it's like, okay, it's there. You got it.
Send her the coins. Or create a vault, even when we release Vault. Create a vault for her with her own 24 words.
Actually, I mean, can we talk quickly about Vault? Because Vault's another application that we've got, that we've written, a little MiniDapp. And, I think I may have mentioned this last time, that I'm a bit upset about the way the locking of the database works, because it means that you can't do things in the background. Yeah, so Shoutout operates on a system where you can send messages, and going to pending transactions is fine, but it's better if you can just send a transaction and it just works. Yeah, you don't have to go to pending, because then you can keep a nice conversation free flow going. And so we've got this application called Vault now, and what's interesting about Vault is that it basically creates another wallet with another 24-word seed, separate from your seed that your main wallet is done. And actually Aqua Bitcoin does it exactly this way. And what they have is they have your savings account, which they put on Bitcoin, which is expensive and slow, for you to access. And then you've got your current account, which they use Liquid for. And this is really what Vault is meant to be doing, where it's like my savings account I have in Vault. Yeah, which means that even if I hack your phone, I don't access those coins because they're hidden behind another 24 words. And your current account, which is your main Minima node, should be, unlocked, frankly. I know that security-wise, people don't like that, but that means that you can do lots of things in the background. Yeah, that means you've got money there that you can just spend. You don't have, just 100 Minima, not a lot, whatever you need. And you can put the bulk of your money in your Vault account. And that's a really nice MiniDapp, actually. I'm looking forward to you all getting to play with that. But I'd like that to be the new way that people secure their coins. They stuff the money they want to keep in Vault, and they use their current account, which is their hot wallet for Minima.
Thank you, Patty. We've reached the end of this call, and I'm seeing a lot of people asking some interesting questions, but unfortunately, we can't cover them. Otherwise, we'd be way over. So thank you to everyone who's joined us today to listen. Thank you to everyone on stage who's spoken.
Join us on Chatter.
Join us on Chatter. I actually put I put an announcement out. We have a community Chatter node now. Unfortunately, it can't handle any more contacts, but you might see one of the messages super chattered at some point. I did put in a message out last week. I'll have to do that again.
Definitely an uptick in Chatter. It's good.
Maybe drop the questions in the questions channel, and we'll answer them.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I'll
that's
wait.
what I'll do. All right. Thank you,
Good
everybody.
to see so many of you here. Cheers.
Thank you, everybody. Great to see you all. Keep coming
Thank you.
back.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.